The wire making process begins in the steel mill. Each year, approximately 800,000 tons of recycled scrap metal is shipped by barge, rail, and truck to the scrapyard and sorted according to grade and quality. By recycling, Keystone is helping the environment, as 50% of the scrap metal used is shredded automobile and appliance scrap. The equivalent of 750 automobiles is saved from landfills daily. And since everything from selecting the specific steel composition to manufacturing the fence products is done on site, Keystone is able to maintain consistent quality control throughout the entire process. The recycling process starts by loading 2 scrap buckets with 400,000 pounds of steel, consisting of 93% scrap metal and 7% pig iron, also known as virgin iron. The first charge of scrap weighing 140 tons is charged into the electric arc furnace. Power to the scrap buckets is distributed from a transformer to 3 arms that each conduct current. Each arm holds a 24-inch diameter electrode, applying 75,000 amps per phase of electricity to melt the scrap. 1 minute of electricity usage is enough to power an average home for a month. Once the steel is melted to nearly 3,000 degrees, it is tapped from the bottom of the bucket in order to pour the liquid metal. The tap hole in the electric arc furnace opens into a ladle, where 175 tons of melted steel is removed from the furnace in just 3 minutes. The MinScan is used to spray a heat-tolerant coating over the brick of the electric arc furnace to extend the life of the buckets. At the ladle metallurgical furnace, alloys and fluxes are added to the heat to produce the desired grade of steel. To maintain quality control, the operator takes samples from the ladle of molten steel and sends it to the laboratory for analysis. The ladle leaves the furnace by a remote-controlled car. The hot metal crane puts a lid on the ladle to preserve the temperature of the steel while transporting it to the casting machine. The hot metal crane puts the ladle onto the ladle turret, which holds 175 tons of molten steel. The ladle turret rotates 180 degrees to remove one ladle from the casting position in order to place the new ladle into casting position over the tun dish. A holding vessel with 6 holes in the bottom, the tun dish is used to pour steel into mold tubes for continuous casting. After the steel shelf solidifies, creating a 5-inch by 5-inch form called a billet, it goes through a series of cooling zones to harden from the outside in until the center is solid. Once sufficiently cooled, an automatic torch cuts the billet to the desired length, typically 50 feet. The billets are then transported by rolling lines to the walking bed where they continually rotate to promote even cooling. Once cooled, the billets are separated by grade and stored in bays. The second phase of wire production takes place in our wire mill. This is where we convert the rod into wire for fence manufacturing. 110 billets are reheated at one time to 2,400 degrees to prepare them for rolling in the reheat furnace. Billets are fed into the rolling mill, which consists of 25 reducing stands for shaping and reducing. The steel then goes through a laying head, coming out in a coil on the conveyor deck. The coil drops onto a mandrel, where it is rotated and transferred onto a C-hook. It then travels to the inspection station, where it is checked for proper surface quality and tensile strength. After inspection, the coil is compacted and wrapped with rod ties. The high temperature of the steel making process leaves a discoloring oxide layer or scale on the surface of the rod coil. To remove this scale, the coil is dipped into a vat of pickle liquor, which is primarily made of sulfuric acid. The spent pickle sludge is typically neutralized with lime and then marketed to fertilizer processors. Wire drawing is a metalworking process used to reduce the thickness of a wire by pulling the wire through a series of drawing dies, sometimes called blocks or plates. The blocks gradually reduce the size of the wire until the desired thickness is achieved. Annealing is a heat treatment where a material is altered, causing changes in its properties such as strength and hardness. Single or multiple stacks of coils are placed on a fixed base inside the heating chamber of the batch furnace. Galvanization is the process of applying a protective metallic coating to a piece of metal in order to prevent rusting. The first step is to heat the strand of wire. Next, the wire is run through a molten bath of zinc at a temperature around 860 degrees. When exposed to the atmosphere, the zinc reacts with oxygen and carbon dioxide to form zinc carbonate. The finished product is then laid onto wire stumps, wrapped, and is ready for shipment.